Welcome to the Vermilion Podcast, a free audio library of business strategies, creative inspiration, and industry knowledge for actors, filmmakers, writers, and anyone looking to activate their creative potential. I'm Misha Calvert, a writer-director who helps artists build the careers that they dream of. I really hope that this podcast inspires you in some way. Thanks for tuning in.
This week, we are going to cover a really cool topic, booking blockbusters. I just taught a class on this in New York with casting director Bernadette McBrien. Bernadette has done some huge shows, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, What We Do in the Shadows, Hustlers, Transformers. I can't even think of all the things that she's done. A lot of Apple TV shows. She's just starting a new Apple TV show on the casting team. So working with her really solidified a lot of the things that were kind of my sense of booking blockbusters and just what I've seen over the years, you know, working with actors that have booked big budget film and television. So I'm going to cover some things that hopefully will prepare you to book blockbusters yourself. Have you heard the phrase that an audition begins when you walk in the room? Well, if you are wanting to book blockbusters, the audition actually begins now. It begins when you decide to become the kind of artist that really takes responsibility for the entire process and can hold other people as a leader. This is going to increase your confidence, and this is going to make you have a bigger gravitational pull on camera, because blockbusters require a lot of confidence, even if you're a smaller part, and they also require you to really hold more people, to hold more responsibility, more power. Even if it's a small role in a blockbuster, you're going to have fans. So you want to make sure that you are kind of conducting yourself in a way in life that merits that kind of public service, really, with the trade-off of being a movie star and having a fan base of millions of people is that you have a fan base of millions of people. So you really want to become the kind of person that is worthy of that mantle. They're the most coveted roles in the entertainment industry. You know, maybe you're watching this and you're like, well, I don't want to do blockbusters. I just want to do indie. Look, nothing wrong with that. I'm an indie filmmaker. But the fact is that most people want those bigger budget roles. And if you're not already there, you're probably not going to get there by doing more of what you're already doing and just drilling down more and more and more. You're going to need to do new things and to do them potentially in a different way than you have been. Traits of a blockbuster actor. Here's what I think of when I think of a blockbuster actor. I think of authenticity, maturity, confidence, responsibility, leadership, and visibility. And those aren't traits that every actor portrays. But this brings me into star power. And what does star power actually mean? I want to talk for a second about being an actor versus being a star. Ask yourself, do you want to be an actor or do you want to be a star? And some people are going to say actor, some people are going to say star, some people are going to say both. So everyone's different, but actors are tasked with being believable under imaginary circumstances. So that is the role of an actor. Movie stars are tasked with being believable under imaginary circumstances, carrying a film on screen, leadership on set and in public, and life in the public eye. So it's a very different set of job responsibilities for being a movie star versus just being an actor. This is the contract that you make with the public. In exchange for fame and notoriety and box office, I will do all those things I just listed. In many ways, it's easier and more fun to be just an actor versus being a star. And a big part of being a movie star is the willingness to take on the responsibility of those added tasks. Now, not everyone in a blockbuster is a star, obviously. There's all sorts of smaller roles. I mean, think of Spider-Man and how many extras were used in that, right? But the thing about blockbusters is because of the size and mythic proportions of the storytelling a lot of the time, you have your lead roles and then you have a bunch of smaller roles. Those smaller roles are typically going to be archetypes. They're there to tell more basic storytelling. So in an indie movie, you know, something like Uncut Gems, do you remember like all the people on the street, you know, they're so kind of weird and New Yorkers and like very idiosyncratic and individualized versus people in, you know, like disaster movies or superhero movies. There's more archetype involved. So it's like scared crowd or angry mob or bunch of gangsters or greedy politicians. And even if they have speaking lines, you'll see a lot of times that the smaller roles fall into these tropes and these archetypes because it's just a different style of storytelling. It's more like mythic, you know, almost even campfire storytelling versus indie films, which is a bit more nuanced and sometimes more gritty, right? So think about this when you are doing those smaller parts, those little 1 line, 2 lines for blockbusters. You're there to serve that more archetypal storytelling most of the time. And that's okay. This isn't the time to get all Philip Seymour Hoffman about it. This is the time to just go in and be a freaking gangster, right? Say your shit and get out. Or whatever the archetype is. Oh my God, a tidal wave. No. Like, that's fine. You don't need to overthink it. It's really not that deep. This is a mistake that I see people making where they'll come in for a couple of lines and they'll really eat up the scenery with it and try and make it just a different size of role than it really is. That doesn't mean don't have fun with it and don't be specific about it, but understand what purpose is this role serving in the bigger script. If you do want to be a star and you're like, I'm tired of these like small movies, I want to be a lead role in a bigger movie, and you feel that you're ready to ascend to that level of stardom, think about the role that the stars play in the sky. So the stars in the sky take a diplomatic view of everything happening down on Earth. They are not getting so concerned with the problems of mere mortals. They're just up there to be beautiful and to dazzle and inspire and let their light be seen by everyone unapologetically, to light up the sky and be seen. They don't hide. They're not afraid to be bright. And even if a cloud gets in the way, the stars are doing the exact same thing. They're like, okay, it's a cloud. The cloud's going to pass. Maybe most importantly of all, they see the big picture. So this is how to be a star, and this is how to prepare to be a star. Don't get caught up in the pettiness. That is not star behavior. Be diplomatic, be graceful, see different sides of things, and above all, be visible. Be visible. Don't be afraid to be seen. Stars gotta shine. And I think you really notice this in people who have gone from initially being an actor to then rising and being a star. They are not afraid to be really seen. Like they allow the camera to really absorb them and absorb their thoughts. Versus other actors who are more just actors, in my opinion, they have to do more, or they feel that they have to do more. They're more muscular about their approach to craft, and they're more like getting in there and really making every moment count and really working, versus stars who are shining, confident that the camera's going to see. It's just an interesting thing to think about. There was this scene that I played in the class with Catherine Keener and Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out. And it's a scene where she's hypnotizing him. They're both very fine actors, but he's a star. And she's so subtle and so nuanced and so smart about how she's, going about the whole scene. But you cannot take your eyes off him. And with his big, beautiful eyes, you're just like falling into his heart and his mind. And it's that gravity and that presence that Daniel Kaluuya has that makes him a star. And you will see it in other stars as well. So in conclusion, if you want a shortcut to star energy in one of your auditions, think of a moment or a time in your life when you have been at your peak leadership or your peak confidence. And it could be like when you're, teaching a kindergarten class or a summer camp, or, maybe your whole family really looks up to you, or I don't know. Bring that into your body and bring the memory in and embody that and remember what it was like to have everyone looking up to you and looking to you for guidance. That is going to be the energy that you should start your audition with. And it will make a difference. Becoming a star and booking blockbusters, even if you're in one of the smaller roles, it's part mindset, confidence, right? And it's part experience, the confidence that comes from experience. So continue to put yourself in non-film TV environments. Get out into the world. Get that context that we were speaking about, like the stars in the sky looking down. Do hard things. Do hard things. See how people live. And that experience is going to give you more confidence to be able to arrive on set and be like, I actually understand all of you. I understand you're upset. I understand what you're going through. I can see more. Booking blockbusters is about seeing more so that you can be seen more. Because if you can see more when you're on set and when you're analyzing your script and breaking it down and doing the scene with people, like, oh my gosh, so many times I'm directing actors and I'll point out something really obvious to them about a relationship dynamic or a plot point in the script. And they're like, oh, wow, I didn't see that before. Because you're only looking this far. If you want to book bigger roles, you have to look at the whole thing. Not just what your character's part is, but what all the characters' roles are playing, because you want to take responsibility for the whole movie in your own way. Yes, it's more work. That's the point. More work, more money, more fans, more fame, more responsibility. It all goes together. For now, I will leave you with the idea that if you want to book bigger budgets, become the biggest version of yourself. I really enjoyed this. I want to book blockbusters as a director, so that's where I'm headed. And I have a lot to think about after this episode. So thanks for joining me here in the studio. It's been really, really, really fun to talk about this. And I will see you next week. Thank you guys so much.
The Vermilion podcast is sponsored by Vermilion, a home for artists. We offer classes, coaching, and community for creatives and innovators in the arts. If you're ready to find your voice and build the life of your dreams, we're here to support you every step of the way. Check out clubvermilion.com and schedule a free call today.